So let's have a look at this idea now. After knight c3, queen d8, we play d4, knight f6, knight f3. What happens after bishop g4? We attack the bishop immediately. And now there's two options. The bishop takes and the bishop goes back. So let's go back, and then we will also go through what happens when the bishop takes. G4, bishop g6. Of course, it's the only move. Now we play knight e5, and this is a transposition in the usual Caro-Kann, also what we saw at the beginning of the video. So knight e5 now is attacking the bishop. Can't take it yet because we don't want to take the bishop like that, right? Because then pawn takes and then the rook is on an open file. We're just helping black. Knight, let's look at this idea. Knight b to d7. The black player is very annoyed at the knight in e5, wants to get rid of it. Also, removing the knight here gives black the freedom to move to two different squares with the rook, so that the black doesn't have to worry about this usual bishop trapping rook move. So after knight b to d7, that's an idea. White now develops the queen to e2. We don't have to worry about this knight getting removed from there because of a pawn, because that cannot happen. Black cannot push f6. We don't have to take this bishop. If black were to push this pawn, then we might think of taking the bishop. Black taking this knight in e5 and then us taking back will allow us a better position, much better position. And there's a video that I made about the Caro-Kann that goes through this exact scenario, and white will be completely winning there because the pawn in e5 will stop the knight from being in f6, and black will just never be able to castle. So after this queen e2 move, let's say for example a6 to get the bishop away. Now, as we all know, we have to take, and after pawn takes, we play this beautiful queen e6 move. The plan is to play bishop to d3, going for checkmate, and good luck to black defending from this. He will have to sacrifice a lot of material for that not to happen. So going back here, after a move like, let's say h5, again we take the bishop, pawn takes, and after g5, black is forced to go either h7 or g8. Let's try, for example, knight to g8. We're just looking at different scenarios. I'm not assuming that all of these moves will exactly happen, but how do we exploit specific scenarios? Now this is met with the same move, queen e6. Right, back at the initial position, after bishop g4 we attack it, and after bishop h5 we play g4, bishop to g6, knight e5. What happens if the bishop goes to e4? Let's just look at this idea, because it is possible, and I've personally encountered it quite a lot, although it's kind of not very usual. Anyway, we take the bishop, knight takes back, we play bishop to g2, and we're targeting the knight and also the b7 square. So if the knight moves, we'll be able to enter the square b7 and win the rook and win the exchange. So black can play knight to d6, which saves the knight from the bishop and also protects the b7 pawn. But we're going to take the pawn anyway, bishop to b7, and we're attacking the rook, so the black has to take the bishop. After this move though, we play queen f3 and we're threatening checkmate in f7. How is this going to be stopped? Well, moving the queen away, for example, let's say queen d6, we're just going to take the knight. We're attacking the rook, and yeah, game's over basically. If instead, like here when we're threatening checkmate, black can try also queen takes pawn with an attack on the knight, we're still going to take the knight. And after queen takes, this comes with a check, but we're going to block it with the bishop. We're developing a piece, and again we're going to win the rook. So once again, we are in f3, we are threatening f7 checkmate square. What happens after f6? We take the knight, and after pawn takes knight and queen takes rook, we're up the exchange, up a pawn, and we have better pawn structure. But let's just transition into a winning endgame. Let's say black unites the pawn like this. He's got connected pawns, and also black has recaptured the pawn, and that means that black can maybe try to continue this game for a bit. We have to play bishop f4. Think about it, the queen's attacking this pawn, and afterwards it will be attacking this pawn, which is not going to be able to be connected anytime soon. If the pawn pushes, then we have two pieces attacking the knight. So the engine considered black's best move here to be knight d7, and the best move by white now is queen to c6. So basically, instead of swapping queens, we're going to go to c6, because now we have two attackers on c7 and we're going to take the pawn. So we're going to be swapping, but by taking an extra pawn, go to a winning endgame with two rooks. Black's development of the bishop is also, well, also the good thing about pinning this knight is that black can't play e5, because then we will take it. g6 is impossible because of bishop e5 as well. So we are attacking the rook. Bishop g7 cannot be played. After rook to g8, we take the pawn. And let's just stop the line here. Right, initial position. After bishop g4, we attack it. Let's have a look at this scenario when they take, which is not good, right? Because we get to develop even more. Queen f3, attacking b7 already. Can knight c6 be played? No, because of bishop b5. Always look for this type of scenario. Best move by black now is rook to b8. So basically black gives up the pawn because anything else doesn't work. Now we play d5, attacking the knight. We have two pieces on d5, so we don't have to worry about being taken. What happens if black plays a6, right? So you play d5 to attack the piece, but obviously you play this move to attack the bishop. We take the knight. Black takes our bishop, so we're equally material now, but we're going to take this pawn. So if now black takes back, we'll play queen check. Knight d7 loses the game because knight to c6 checks. And the only way to defend the king from the check is queen takes, but then we win the queen. Right, black can block with queen to d7, but we're still going to do knight c7 check. King moves, and then queen takes, king to d7. And then we can play bishop to f4, protecting the knight and threatening long side castle. So after, let's say, just to make an example, rook to c8, we're going to castle long side, right? Our development is complete, the knight is defended. So here again, after the bishop takes and then queen takes back, knight c6 is met by bishop e5. As we said, best move is rook b8, but then d5, a6, we're going to take, they're going to take back, and we saw that b takes c pawn doesn't work. If black plays e6, which is the best move in the position, we play bishop to f4, so we are adding pressure to this pawn, we want to go there. Bishop to d6 now seems like it can kind of stop the whole thing and give black a normal game, but then we just take the bishop. The queen cannot take back because of the knight, so black has to take back with the pawn, and then this is the end of the game. Right, back at this position after bishop takes knight and queen takes back, knight c6 is punished, as we said, by bishop b5. Oh, and by the way, it's pointless to mention a6 here, because simply bishop takes, pawn takes, queen takes, and after knight d7, we play knight to d5, attacking c7, and if rook to c8, then bishop f4, right? Remember, this knight is pinned, so e5 is not possible. So after bishop b5, what happens after queen to d6? This is another potential idea. Maybe black can try to castle alongside and give and start some weird game, but with some compensation. Well, d5, and we're pinning the knight. We're threatening the same things. After queen e5 check, that could be an idea. We play bishop to e3. We block and develop. a6 now is met by the usual. We take, and now unlike before, we take, right? Because the rook is not in b8. This comes with an attack on the rook. The rook will have to go to b8. And now queen c6 check. Needless to say that king moving will be met by white's allowing a rook to join the game, and it's a clashing attack. So after knight to d7, we're going to do this anyway, right? So now we have two pieces attacking d7. How can black stop it? Let's say queen. Now we take the pawn. And we're threatening to take the knight and then take the rook, removing the defender. Also, we're also threatening queen check, sacrificing and then promoting.